Hi everyone. It has been a minute since I've been on YouTube and speaking in this format, but I am excited to, I don't know, share what's on my heart today and speak freely without needing to edit it down. Um, and just, yeah, have kind of share this stream of consciousness that I'm reflecting on and that I'm thinking about at the moment. Um, so I'm just going to jump right in. It's obviously to do with soul work because that's all I ever think about and all I get excited about. It's totally my thing, almost to the point where I've wondered if I'm ever able to escape this obsession I have with soul work and like purpose, meaningful work, you know? And I just don't think I can. It's really weird. I feel intrinsically driven on a deep level to seek meaning and purpose in my work. And I want to caveat this and say that I know that, like, I don't think everyone will get that. I don't think everyone is cut from the same cloth. And I know this for a fact because there are people that are in my world that don't, and I know and I can sense that they don't feel that desire to, you know, do work that is meaningful to fulfill their purpose. Or to do their soul work, that they're kind of happy to have a job and to, you know, make sure they pay the bills and like that affords a comfortable lifestyle, and then they might meet a partner or buy a house or travel on, you know, do a trip once a year. I don't know, like this kind of, I'm talking obviously very generically, but I really know a lot of people like that who enjoy and are satisfied by and are driven by that style of life. And the fact is, I'm just not, and I never have been. And yeah, I know not everyone will get what I'm saying here. Some people will, who are driven to do their soul work, will understand what I'm saying, and the people who are not will not. So I'm just acknowledging that this is not necessarily a universal feeling that everybody feels. I think it's some people feel this quite deeply, and I believe on a soul level it's because some people incarnated with specific mission, you know, a specific purpose, something to fulfill or create in this lifetime, and that's why they feel that urge and maybe even that urgency and constant background, like, you know, it's always there, like whispering to you to do this thing. Yeah, and sometimes I'll also clarify as well, sometimes we don't know what the thing is that we want to do. It's just, you know, that there's a yearning or a craving for something more meaningful than what life, you know, is offering you. So yeah, I just think it's interesting that not everyone does feel like that. Because like I said, people in my world that I don't think are driven by their soul work, that they're happy with a sort of different existence and a different way of life. And then there's people like me who are utterly obsessed, almost to a fault, like it's exhausting, you know, because it's a journey, it's a soul journey, literally, and that's highs and lows and breakthroughs and breakdowns, and it's not necessarily the easy path in life. Sometimes I wish that I could just be satisfied with the status quo and just have a job and live a normal life. I feel like in some ways it would be simpler. Maybe I'm wrong, and yeah, that's probably me, grass is greener kind of thinking, when the reality is it's not like that. But it does feel like a simpler existence to me, and the path of your soul work is not. It's challenging and it's deep, and it's, you know, it's a series of trials and evolutions and growth so that you can truly embody, and embody is the word, like the expression that your soul wants to share in this lifetime. And it becomes an embodiment thing, because it's one thing to talk about it, to, you know, draft some ideas on a notepad, and it's another thing to live it, to speak it, to share it, to weave it into existence, to take that vision that's in your heart and actually bring it into creation, you know. That is a whole other thing entirely, and that is a journey. And that for me has been a journey of many years of like experimenting and failing and trying again and getting excited and then losing momentum and then going back to it. I mean, anyone who's been following my journey for a couple of years will have seen that I've done that. I have been in and out and up and down and like learning as I go, but forever committed, you know, forever committed to this path of the soul work, knowing in the deepest part of my heart that I will always return to it. I will always return to giving this gift, this thing I have inside to the world, because I can't not. I literally can't not. Yeah, I've tried and I've experimented with the idea of like, maybe I could just, you know, go that path for a while and not worry about the soul work, but like I always come back to it in some way. And I just think it's interesting. So I've been reflecting lately on, you know, when I was younger, why did I, like, it's always good to look back and younger years, like I'm talking child age, teenage years, like your formative years, when I look back then, go back that far, you know, I can see that I always felt different from others. And I think people who are on the soul work path will know what I'm talking about here, because I think they've probably felt it as well. You've probably felt it as well. You know, I always felt different from the world around me, from like, I'm talking from a really young age. For starters, I had wild red hair when I was younger. I've written a story about that on my Substack. And I partly think it was to do with that, because I had this like very vibrant hair color, which is kind of like faded and gone now, sad. Anyway, I had this vibrant red hair. So I literally physically automatically stuck out, at least in the community that I was in growing up in Australia. And, you know, I was like one in the class kind of thing of 30 people with wild red hair. So I automatically felt physically different, but it was deeper than that. I felt like, I'm like trying to reflect on what it was, but I just felt like I never quite, like I could get along with people. It wasn't a social adaptation issue. I could definitely adapt to my environment. I made friends. I had, you know, groups of people. It was not that. It was more an inner feeling of not quite being on the level or getting the way people around me thought. Or also later in life, it was like I didn't necessarily want the things that people wanted. You know, people would sort of subtly, you know, inject into conversation what they were thinking about or what they were dreaming of. And I just never quite wanted the life that the people around me wanted. And I never quite got the way that the group thought, you know, like I feel like the way I thought about things was always a bit different. Anyway, that sounds maybe like I'm being like, oh, I was so different and whatever. I think a lot of people feel this is my point. My point is, if you're on the soul work path, you're going to, from a young age, feel different from your peers on some really indecipherable level, you know, just different, like not quite on the level with others. And I think what I've seen now as I get older is that is a gift. That is a blessing. My God, it's such a gift to perceive the world differently from your community, from your crowd, from the people around you. Your perspective on life, your ideas, your philosophies that might be deemed different are a gift. They're a pure gift, and they are most likely connected to your Dharma or your purpose in this life. And I want to riff on the concept of Dharma for a minute, because I refer to it a bit in my work and I really resonate with it, but I know that it's a teaching and it's a concept that not everyone might connect to or align with. But personally, the concept of Dharma, which connects to both Hinduism, also Buddhism, there's different sort of variations on Dharma, but generally the concept of Dharma is kind of like a personal, individual, moral duty almost in this life. So you incarnate with a personal moral duty to fulfill this thing in this life, like a mission, like a purpose. And that's what your Dharma is. And it's such a beautiful concept to me. Like I really resonate with it. The idea that each of us soul work people who are on this path have this individual Dharma and this individual responsibility. I love that idea that it's like a duty. It's our duty to give this to the world, our responsibility to share our art and our visions and our words and our magic. You know, I think that's like a really potent concept, and it really feels right to me that at least that I do have Dharma to fulfill in this life. And part of my journey is figuring that out. What is it? What is my expression? What is my voice? What is my, you know, way of sharing with the world? And that's what this journey has been the last years. But yeah, I really relate to the concept of Dharma, and I think that if you know, resonate with that, it's something to kind of reflect on and think about your personal moral duty in this life. You know, what is it? What is your mission? What is your thing to really fulfill? And like I said, for me, it's been a journey getting to where I am with what I'm sharing. But what I will say is that over time, it's been almost like a titration of like putting out there what I think would work logically, titrating back to what I feel is natural and organic and true and right for me. So I think I started this journey sort of painting my work in a way that's like, people will accept this makes sense, it's logical, it's, you know, marketable, it's sellable, whatever, like putting work out there with that mindset of what might work. And I've slowly titrated myself back to putting work out there that feels good and right and true for me. So putting words out there, ideas, programs, offerings that feel resonant for me on a soul level and feel like my soul is speaking through this work, you know? And I think that is the journey. That is the journey of your soul work, is like gently, slowly, sometimes over time, moving yourself away from what you think might work on paper, what you think is logical, towards what feels really true for you, really true. Not just like, oh, that sounds nice, people are talking about that, I trained in this modality, I know this thing. No, more like deeper than that. What is true for you in this life? What have you lived? What have you embodied? What have you integrated? What do you believe in so fucking passionately? What could you stand up on a soapbox and talk to a room about for an hour, like that you could just jam on? Because look, by the way, I'm doing it right now. I'm absolutely jamming here on soul work because this is my thing, man. This is like what I could talk about for fucking hours, you know? So what is your thing that you could talk about for hours that you literally light up about and get excited about? Because like in there, in that space, your soul voice is wanting to speak. So it's a process and it's a journey of, like I said, sort of titrating yourself towards getting comfortable with speaking authentically, with expressing authentically, with not needing to fit or edit or, you know, paint your work in a certain light or way, or, you know, social media is so bad for that. It makes us like, you know, compare a lot and think that we need to be a certain way to be successful. But actually what I'm finding is the way to be successful is actually just to be more of yourself, like your true essence of self, not just like your idea of self, like your deepest soul level self. So yeah, I think I'm absolutely meandering here, but like, I think that's something to reflect on and to think about, is what is really right and true for you. What feels deeply like something that like deeply lights you up and that you're passionate about, that you could speak about, and kind of tuning into that more deeply, and maybe even riffing on it, you know, do a video like this, or like write it out on a piece of paper, because in that stream of consciousness, like the insights, the wisdom will come through, and that will be the kind of foundation or the bones of your soul expression. Because those are the little nuggets of truth that your soul expression is built on. And from there, we connect more deeply to our soul voice, and everything becomes easier. Everything flows more easily. So yeah, that's all I have to say today. I think I wish you luck on your journey of giving your soul work to the world if you're on the path like I am. I always welcome feedback, and I'd love to hear from you if this resonates, or if you have thoughts or ideas to contribute. Yeah. I'd love to hear from you, and yeah, good luck. Keep going, keep doing it.